It's really hard to see, and again, it's really important. I think these are questions that community members are having, is what is the impact to their wildlife? What is the impact to the snakes? These are specific concerns that I've been hearing, and they are drivers of the study. So I'm Johanna Stewart. I am starting my master's research looking at red-sided garter snakes, and particularly the post-fire impacts on this population. We are close to Fort Smith right now, in the Fort Smith area, but in Wood Buffalo National Park at the Salt River Day Use area. This is one of the study sites that I am looking at. There is a known kind of resident population of red-sided garter snakes that overwinters here and comes out in the springtime. So we are looking to study those snakes as they are coming out of hibernation, trying to count them. We take some data from them around length, weight, give them a little pit tag or a personal identification tag. And we're going to see how many snakes we see out there today and see whether we can process any of them. Ooh, I just saw one. Yep. So there is a snake right there. Kind of next to that stick. There's a little head poking out of a hole. The garter snake, it's the northernmost reptile in North America. And here around Fort Smith, we have the northernmost population of this species. So it's really unique. We're at the very northern edge of the range for this species, and they are surviving in conditions that are completely different, really harsh compared to snakes that are living in other parts of its range. So that's from a biodiversity perspective really interesting, really unique. We have a really special population here in the Northwest Territories. And it also means that this species is vulnerable. We don't have the same number of snakes since we're at the very northern edge of their range. There's fewer snakes here. They have less kind of available habitat that meets their requirements. And so they are at risk when a significant event like a fire burns up their habitat, or if they lose significant numbers of snakes in their population. It's hard for them to recover from that. And so it's really important that we are studying this species, studying the impacts of the fire, and trying to figure out what are the appropriate management actions, what we can be doing to help conserve this species, to protect their habitat, and make sure that they can recover from events like last year's fire. And yeah, just the backs of them aren't usually this kind of, I don't know, like it's usually quite black. This is kind of brownish. That might just be kind of dirt, or it might be ash. One of the first things that we're noticing is that their habitat has definitely been burned. So this is an area where snakes are typically hibernating over winter. And we can see there's so many trees that have burned and fallen. Their habitat has just definitely changed. It's pretty devastating. It's really hard to see a landscape that has been changed so much by fire. I mean, we know obviously that fire is a natural part of the ecosystem in a boreal forest, but just the extent, the amount of area, and the severity of the burn that we are seeing where forests are completely gone, that's really hard to see. But I think it's also really important to see. It's really important to be looking at that, to be thinking about what the effects are for wildlife and for communities, and then trying to collect some data and answer the questions that people have, the concerns that are on people's minds about how this fire is impacting the species that are important to all of us. Now that we've got all the data that we need from this snake, we can release it back where we found it, and it'll go back to basking in the sun or hiding in a hole, whatever it wants to do for the rest of the day.